3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Hello, what is up, guys, and welcome back to the Sports Shift with me, Ian Marquez. Today, we're going to be previewing all of this weekend's NFL content and discussing all the major matchups. So let's get started with our Week 14 preview. A lot of big games coming up this week. We're going to start off with a huge NFC North matchup with the Green Bay Packers traveling to Detroit to take on the Detroit Lions. This is heading out to a really good game because the Packers are in fine form. Since Jordan Love has come back from injury, he's looked exceptional. They're third in their division, but they're still well on their way to the playoffs. And they'll probably get a pretty difficult wildcard game, but it's hard to beat the Packers right now, man. The Lions are so banged up, so many injuries. They're so short-handed, but they've just been seeming to find a way to get it done whenever possible. I'll be looking at some stats. In the last matchup, the Lions pressured Jordan Love, I believe it was about 13 times, and he was 3 for 10 pass completion and one of the lowest in the season completion rates. I believe it was like 3.5 yards per pass attempt when getting blitzed. And we know that half of their blitzes this season have come from Aiden Hutchinson and Pascal, and they're both out tonight, so they're gonna have to think of something fancy. That's why they're blitzing so heavy, because not so many guys can win one-on-one aside from those two. So we know Aaron Glenn has been exceptional with his blitz packages this season, and is going to keep coming out. The Packers going to be ready for that this time out, and it's just going to be such an interesting matchup. We also know that the Lions are targeted very heavy wide out, so like Christian Watson and such are going to play a big role. On the other side of the ball, there's going to be no Jaire Alexander. We know we have the two-headed horse in Sonic and Knuckles. The Lions are not going to stray from running the ball, and it's just a question of, are the Lions going to rack up enough points to outscore the Packers, because the defense may be a little weak. In the last matchup, we found that the Packers ran the ball really well against the Lions, which has not been easy, and not many teams have been able to do it this season. So we'll see if Josh Jacobs can repeat that. And it's very close. It's the divisional matchup. I just can't go against the Lions right now. They've been in such hot form, and I think it's going to be a close game. I think the Lions win it by a field goal. So we're going to go with the Lions. Next up on the Sunday slate, we have a rematch. I feel like this game just played last week. We have a rematch of the Cleveland Browns, this time in Pittsburgh, to play the Steelers. After that shock defeat in that snow game, I don't think Pittsburgh plays with their fool this time. I think they dominate the game, force some interceptions from Jameis Winston, and I think they win it. I wouldn't say comfortable, because I think all these AFC North matchups are close, but I do think they come out on top. And maybe, as the Ravens are on their bye, start to create a little gap on the top of the AFC North. Next up, we have my New Orleans Saints traveling to New York in the cold to play the New York Giants. These dreadful Giants, who's going to be starting at quarterback? I mean, they're running out of options. It's going to be Drew Lock, it appears. Daniel Jones already in Minnesota colors now. New York is just so dreadful. I expect the Saints to come out on top, but I do expect them to make it unnecessarily close, as they like to do with every matchup. Things are good. Things are still close in their division. They can still catch either the Falcons or the Buccaneers, but they're going to have to start racking up wins, and this is going to be one of the easiest games they have left on the schedule, so they can't afford to mess it up. Another 2 p.m. game, we have the New York team, the New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers traveling to Miami to play the Dolphins. Much to my surprise, the Dolphins lost to the informed Packers. I know it's very hard to go to play at Lambeau Field, and the Dolphins historically have struggled in the cold. However, this time they'll be at home to the struggling New York Jets. I think they'll win it pretty comfortably. A healthy Tua with this package of Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Devontae A-Chain in the backfield. I don't think they have too much trouble, and I think they take care of business quite comfortably. They're going to need to win out now to have any chance of the playoffs, so let's see what happens. No, they already lost the division to the Bills, but still very much in with the chance of a wild card. So another divisional matchup, we have Jacksonville Jaguars traveling to Tennessee to take on the Titans. Trevor Lawrence with a rough hit last week against the Texans, and we all know what happened there. I believe he's been banned 4 games. It ended up in a huge tussle. Can't blame them. You're going to protect your quarterback. And it's kind of difficult because, as Tom Brady was saying, these quarterbacks have so many design runs. To be a good defensive player in the NFL, you have to be aggressive. You have to be looking to be violent, basically. Like, that's the only way you're going to be successful. So in order to protect the quarterback, you either stop giving them all the runs, or the officials have to start penalizing them to putting themselves in danger. Maybe they have to slide earlier, that sort of thing, you know. I don't know how they go about it. However, this game, I'm going the Titans. 2 very weak and struggling teams, but I think Will Levis gets it done at home. Who knows what's next for Jacksonville? Does Doug Peterson make it to the end of the season? I guess we'll see. So another 2 p.m. game. NFC South opponent for the Saints is the Atlanta Falcons. They're traveling to Minnesota. Both these teams are so inconsistent. However, Minnesota has just been racking up the wins, even though they've not been playing great. They've just been doing enough quietly, chasing down the Lions and keeping the Packers off their backs. They're still 10-2 and well in with a solid wildcard spot, but they don't want that. They want the division. So can Sam Darnold get it done at home? Atlanta Falcons have been on a bit of a skid, and the Buccaneers are now right behind them. Buccaneers taking on a weak Panthers side, so they're going to have to win this one to maintain that division lead. Let's see what happens. I'm going with the Vikings to narrowly win it at home. I think the Falcons are going to be on a bit of a skid, and I actually think the Bucs might steal this division. I say steal. It's anyone's for the taking, really. We have the Panthers traveling to the Eagles. This is pretty much a bye week. Saquon Barkley just going to be racking up those yards as he chases down that single season yardage total from Eric Dickerson. Right now he's on pace to get, I think, exactly maybe 5 yards more than Eric Dickerson, which is going to be crazy. But it's never going to be a better time to just stat pad than playing this Panthers side. If the game script goes as expected, Eagles will probably get a little bit of a win, and then, you know, second half Saquon just goes on a charge. I'm going to go with the Eagles to win it. I saw a stat that Saquon has most yards in the NFL, but I also saw that second half Saquon by himself has the 4th most yards in the NFL, which is insane. I mean, he's just on a tear. Once again, it brings it back to the Giants. What are you doing, bro? So we have Vegas traveling to Tampa to play the Bucs. Bucs chasing that NFC South division. With a win here and a Falcons loss, I believe they take the lead in the division, and I don't see any issues with that. Antonio Pierce is trying to figure out his side. They had a chance last week as they pushed the Chiefs late, but once more, as is the trend with these teams, they just don't get it done and they find a way to lose. So they travel to Tampa, and I think Baker Mayfield, although his offense is banged up, I think they have enough to get it done and narrowly defeat the Raiders. However, if I had to pick an upset, I would not be surprised if the Raiders found a way to beat the Bucs. It's just what happens. They'll step up to an opponent, but they'll also play down to the opposition. But I'm going with the Bucs, man. Alright, now we're going to the evening games. We have a rematch. This game played just 2 weeks ago. We have the Seattle Seahawks this time traveling to Arizona to play the Cardinals. This division is so tight, neck and neck. Seattle won it barely last time with a very close 16-6 game, low scoring. I think this game is the complete opposite. I think it's explosive. Kyler Murray goes off. I think Geno Smith goes off as well, but I think the Cardinals put it out. I'm going to say like a high scoring, like 33-27 game, that sort of thing. And it's going to be a fun game to watch. I think it's going to be explosive, but I think the Cardinals take it out at home and regain that division lead. Now we have Chicago traveling to San Francisco to take on a depleted Niners team. I'm not even sure who's playing for the Niners this week. It's been very depleted, but I do think they still get the win over Chicago. Chicago is just a struggling side. Caleb Williams has been looking a lot better, but there's just still not been getting wins. 2 divisional losses in recent weeks. where he played better, but they still didn't get the job done. Fired the head coach, so now that's a change looking for the next head coach. Now the defensive coordinator has taken over. But when you're in this state, you just find a way to lose, man. No matter how good you play, it's just not been happening. And I think Chicago just get out coached by San Francisco, and they take a much needed win as they chase down this division. You know, CMC is out for the season. So rough, man. I feel sorry for him. He's so injury prone. He finally came back from that huge injury. It just keeps happening. So prayers out for CMC. But I do think the Niners get it done at home. We have the Bills, after clinching their division, traveling to LA to take on the Rams. Rams also just one game back in the division. It's anyone's division for the taking. Some team just needs to go on a bit of a run. However, the Bills, although they clinched their division, are still chasing that #1 seed behind the Chiefs. And I think they're just too well-rounded. Josh Allen is playing out of his life. He's playing amazing. And I think they just have too much for the Rams. However, I do think that Matthew Stafford gives them a run for the money, and it's also a high-scoring game. We'll see how that goes. Sunday Night Football. We have a AFC West matchup between the LA Chargers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Chargers traveling to Kansas City. Mahomes has not looked great this season yet. There they are on the #1 seed, 11-1 record. Does it continue? I said the Bucs might be my biggest upset. However, if I had to pick another upset, I wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs drop a game to the Chargers. Chargers have looked really good. They've had a tough loss to the Ravens last time out, and I think they get it done. I know they beat the Falcons last time. They finally got back to winning ways, but they're still chasing that wildcard seed because I don't think they'll be able to catch the Chiefs. So they need to rack up those wins. Justin Herbert has been playing amazing. A defense that has stepped up, which is not known for the Chargers. You know, Brandon Staley have been doing all sorts of weird decisions, but they're playing smart. They've been playing efficient, and I think it's a very close game. But I do think the Chiefs edge it. Finally, Monday Night Football. I don't think this is going to be close at all. I think the Bengals run away with it. The offense has been flying. You know, Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. I think the link up continues, and I think they crush the Cowboys and get a much needed win in a chase of a wild card spot. So those are my picks. Let me know what you guys think. We're going for all 13 this weekend. Our record has not been great. I'll update it next week, but it's time to go on a run and separate that gap, you know, show that we actually know what we're talking about. So my TD parlay, I do try to focus on Sundays, but I think this is just such a great group. I'm going to go with Kamara, Saquon, and Jamar Chase to run it off Monday night. Let me know what you guys think. We've always gone one short so far every week, but I think this is the week. All three of these teams have fairly easy matchups, and once the game script goes to plan, I think it should be a lock. So tag along and let's get this money. Our not a lot parlay. Well, this week it comes up at 3-1. We're going to go with the Eagles against the Panthers. We have the Bucs facing the Raiders. Dolphins hosting the Jets, and the Saints traveling to New York to play the Giants. All these teams have favorable matchups, and I think if a team was to let us down, it would probably be the Bucs, but I have faith they'll dig up the win. And I think this week we get our party on track and we start this run, man. Let's get a hot streak. That's all for this NFL content. Enjoy the games this weekend, and see you guys next time.